But don't be nervous, darling. It's nothing to be scared about. It's just a little party, very casual. Just gonna tell some stories about my mother. Her friends throw one of these every couple of years, ever since she passed. It's a lot of fun. I mean, I'm still learning things, and I'm her son. They're going to love you. Oh, and don't be intimidated by my father. He's harmless. All right? Shall we?
I don't know how much Penn has told you about his mother and I, so stop me if you've heard this before.
If you can, of course.
What's that supposed to mean?
No, nothing at all.
Then you tell the story, Penn. I wouldn't want to bore your guest.
All right, my parents met because mother liked father's poetry.
See, no, you're ruining it.
My sister didn't just like his poetry, she was obsessed with it.
I was obsessed with her. Not just with her poetry either, but the way she thought, the way she saw the world. We would exchange 2 or 3 letters a day. I was in love before I even met her. You can imagine how it felt when I found out she fancied me as well.
Robert, she didn't fancy you, she fancied your writing.
Well, the past can be a difficult thing to decipher. You remember it one way, I remember it another.
Yes, she kicked you out of the house the first time you proposed.
First time?
Okay, if you want to look at it that way, in fairness to Elizabeth, I might have come down a little strong in those days. She was still shy.
Oh, desperately shy, especially when she wanted to be liked. I remember she canceled on you almost 3 times before your first meeting. Oh, and when you first proposed, the look on her face is something I'll never forget.
Oh, Father, no.
Well, initially we just met to talk about our work, but the more we spoke, the more she blossomed.
No.
What was I supposed to do? Not propose?
Don't get any ideas, darling.
Oh, your grandfather would have never allowed it anyway.
Even after I wooed her properly. I did everything she asked of me, and she still wouldn't let me ask for her hand in marriage. Not that it would have happened anyway. That man did not like me.
He was a complicated person. He was never the same after my mother died.
My dear, sweet, envious little
Don't
Isa.
start with me, Hattie.
I'm not starting. No one is starting. You're the one who wanted to hear the story, and I am happy to tell it if you think you can manage your jealousy.
I will do my best. But I still can't believe that I wasn't invited.
Well, it was such a spur-of-the-moment thing, and you know how Elizabeth was.
Yeah, whatever you say, Hattie.
Fine.
Okay, fine, tell the story.
Oh, good. You'll love it. So I had been going on and on about this old monastery that I wanted to visit.
The one just outside of Florence.
Yes!
We've been talking about it for years now.
Yes, with the frescoes.
I'm aware.
Well, Ba, of course, had no interest in looking at some boring old frescoes, and until, that is, I just might have mentioned the tiniest little rule about women not being allowed inside. Oh, then it was off to the races for Ba, which was rare for her in those days. She decided that we were going to disguise ourselves as men, naturally, and make Robert take us.
Were there fake mustaches involved?
Of course, we weren't amateurs.
I'm getting jealous again.
Well, don't bother. We didn't even make it out of Florence.
Well, what kind of story is that?
Well, Elizabeth was so excited about being in disguise that she decided to sneak out early to parade up and down the streets in her new trousers. The problem was she had so much fun walking around, pretending to be a man, that she wore herself out before we even got there.
Well, with her health being what it was, I can't say that surprises me. It's too bad you didn't have me to tag along. I could have riled you all back up.
Oh, stop. You rile me up enough as it is.
How's Elizabeth's biography going? You haven't sent me anything since the last draft, and I'm just dying to read it.
Slowly. It's going very slowly. The words just don't come to me as fast as they used to, and I suppose my old age is finally catching up to me.
You're not as old as you make out to be, Mrs. Martin. And surely with our Ba, there's plenty to write about. I mean, she may not have been here for very long, but she lived a full life in the time that she was here.
That's precisely the problem, isn't it? Sorting through it all. Elizabeth was a very talented writer, but she wrote much like she lived her life, with her head in the clouds. For every one of her most brilliant works, there is one that is equally as juvenile. It is exhausting, searching through it all.
Mrs. Martin?
What is it, darling? Why are you giving me that look?
You told me you'd quit.
What, the opium? Yes, well, I had a bit of a fall last month, and so I've had to get back on it for the pain.
It's just, well, I wouldn't want to overstep, just with everything that happened to Elizabeth.
This is nothing like that, Eliza. I'm in pain.
Well, so was she.
Physical pain. My bones ache every single day. It makes even the smallest tasks difficult. My heart broke for what Elizabeth had to go through, but regardless, even if I was an addict, which I'm not, better an addict than a grumpy old bag, which is what I'd be without it.
I'm sorry.
It's all right.
It's a shame you never met your grandmother, Penn.
I feel as though I did. I've heard so many stories.
She was an amazing woman, raised 12 of us almost single-handedly. My father missed her so much when she went.
And he took it out on Elizabeth.
I don't think so.
Not to mention anyone who disagreed with him.
That's not entirely fair, Robert.
But it's the truth, isn't it? When Elizabeth and I finally did marry, against her father's wishes, of course, he bid her name never be spoken in his house again.
A complicated man.
Why would he do that, do you think?
My father was a very strict man. He had many rules. One of them was that we could never marry. I mean, my brothers too. Your mother disobeyed.
I've never understood. Why would he make such a rule? I would hate to misjudge. I never knew the man, but doesn't that seem a bit... I don't know.
It's simple, Penn. If any of his children got married, God forbid, if any of them were blessed enough to find someone who made them feel known, who loved them exactly as they were meant to be loved, like I loved your mother and she loved me, well, how could your grandfather control them?
You actually met him, Penn, when you were very small. You probably don't remember. When your parents came to London, I used to watch you, and I made sure and was very careful not to let you be in the house when my father was there. Only one day I wasn't careful enough. My father had finished work early, and you and your Uncle George were playing in the hallway. God, the moment I realized what was happening, I bolted from my sewing. I was in such a panic, I nearly tripped trying to get to you. God, my heart was pounding. He was so unforgiving in those days. I didn't know how he was going to react. Gosh. Or what I could even do to help you. I just stood frozen in the doorway, watching him, standing there, watching you, just staring at you, as if he had already known and knew. Then after an incredibly long silence, he said and asked who you were. And George said, "This is Elizabeth's son." And that was it. That was it. He just stood there for a while. Sometimes I wonder if maybe he thought you looked like your Uncle Edward. Edward was my father's eldest son. He died very young. I still remember the look in my father's eyes. There was sadness. A sadness that I didn't understand. And maybe still don't.
It's been a long time since I've heard that story.
Well, Penn, aren't you going to introduce us to your lovely friend here?
Yes, of course. In fact, I've been waiting to do just that. Darling, I would like you to meet Mrs. Martin and Mrs. Ogilvy. Mrs. Ogilvy knew our family in Italy.
Lovely to meet you. Oh, Panini was right. You are a dear.
And Mrs. Martin is my mother's oldest friend and an author in her own right.
Not old, Panini, just experienced. I'm like a fine wine. I get better with age.
And perhaps a bit sour because it was left out for too long.
Mrs. Martin, perhaps you could tell us a story about when Mother was a girl.
If you'll excuse me.
Elizabeth as a girl. Now that is fun to remember. Well, for starters, if it weren't for the dresses and pigtails, you would have thought she was a boy the way she played. She would chase her brothers around the house and run and climb up trees. You know, in my opinion, she was as smart then as she was when she had her poems be all the rage.
They're still all the rage, Mrs. Martin.
Yes, but to what extent? mean, people are reading her, but they're not really hearing what she's saying. They like the love, but they don't see the feminist.
Maybe so, but as I see it, I simply adore Ba's love poems. They're some of my favorites. Elizabeth lived for love.
Yes, yes, love is wonderful, but it is not the most important thing in life.
Well, I don't know about that, Mrs. Martin.
Your mother was a defender of the truth, dear Pen, which, in my humble opinion, is a far nobler aim. When she was just a young girl, 13 years old, she used to write to me about all the injustices suffered by the female sex. 13 years old.
And that part does not surprise me.
It was always about what was right, not just what society told her was right. Has Penn told you how his mother kept him in curls and soft shoes until he was 12?
All right, that's enough of that.
He was just the cutest little girl I've ever seen.
Thank you, Ogilvy.
You want to know when it changed for your mother? Here's what I think. The moment your grandfather sent Edward to school and forced Elizabeth to stay at home, she was never the same after that. And who could blame her? She was much smarter than Edward, older too. Why should she have to stay at home just because she was a girl? Just because society says something should be some way doesn't make it so. Now, if you'll excuse me, dear, my hip is starting to act up. Let us sit down.
Wilson, hey.
Miss Arabelle, hello.
What is Fernando doing over there in the corner?
No idea. I think his stomach is upsetting him.
Oh no, can I get him anything? A digestive, perhaps?
Oh, that's very sweet of you, but we're okay. How are you doing?
Good. Good. A little sad to tell you the truth. It's been a hard day.
Yes.
I'm glad that you and Fernando could come.
Oh, Pin invited us. He said he was bringing a girl, and how could I miss that opportunity?
Oh, yes. I think you'll like her. She's a little shy.
Oh.
But she's lovely. I want to ask you a question about my sister.
Okay.
When I read of her death, I was filled with a hopeless grief, just like her poem said that I might. But I'm a little worried that I've created sort of a false memory about her. That I remember her the way I want to remember her, not the way she actually was. I never asked about what happened between you two. I guess I was afraid of what I would learn.
I see.
You don't have to if you don't want to.
I don't think I want to.
But I would be incredibly and forever in your debt if you did.
And why is that?
Because I think knowing the truth about Ba would help me honor her properly. After all, you do know more about her than anyone.
Some things are better left buried, Miss Arabelle.
I disagree. I think that enough time has passed, especially, but if you're worried that I would be offended, then...
I am not worried about offending you.
Okay, well, I think enough time has passed that maybe you'd want to talk about her. It's been so long, and after all, maybe it would help you, or I think...
What do you want to know? That when she found out I was pregnant, she hired another lady in waiting without telling me? Even though I had raised Penn his whole life, more than she ever did. Or how about when she made me take my son to my sister's house because God knows the Brownings couldn't afford another mouth to feed? Or maybe your sister just didn't want to be disturbed by another crying child because God forbid anyone disturb her precious poetry. After everything that I did for her, she couldn't get past the fact that I was just her servant. After all that talk about society putting women down, and she couldn't even make up a bed for me to raise my child, my own son. And after all of that, I lost Penn too. I loved her. Some things are better left buried.
Wilson, I'm under attack. Please, would you mind?
What's going on over here?
We're about to jump into another story about my childhood.
Oh, I would love to. What do you want to hear? The bugling, the crying, all that
wonderful baby
Good
stuff.
Lord, Wilson.
He was a biter,
Wilson!
I can tell. We all have scars.
Oh, I was hoping you would tell the story about the wedding.
Oh.
It's the best story Wilson tells, hands down.
Are you sure that's the one you want to hear? How about I tell the one about the pony instead? He got bucked off when he was only 6 years old. I nearly had a heart attack.
No. You must tell the story about the wedding. I'll start you off. An hour out from the ceremony, my mother is clutching to this lamppost, fully dressed, mind you, and it would take a tornado to tear her away.
Penn,
if
if you're gonna butcher the whole story, I might as well tell it myself.
Besides butchering it.
You can't start with the climax?
Skipping to the exciting part.
No, the story really began with their courtship, which aged me dreadfully, let me tell you. I was basically their courier in this blossoming romance, carrying letters back and forth for about 4 years at least. All this going to say I was there from the beginning. So when Elizabeth got cold feet, I was the one who dragged her to the aisle. And that was it.
No, you skipped. Say I'm butchering it. You just skipped the climax altogether.
Well, how about you tell it?
No, absolutely not. You tell it best.
Well, the wedding was a go and everything was ready. The only thing missing was Elizabeth. So I dragged her from the study and we started walking to the church. But about a block away from the altar, she decided that she wouldn't take another step. And Penn is right about her holding on to that lamppost. So I grabbed her hand and I told her that if you do not let go of this lamppost and come to the church with me right now, you will never see your dog flush again. But then I got a really good look at her and I realized that this was way more than just nerves. She looked ill. I'd never seen her so scared. So I looked her in the eyes and I said, listen, Elizabeth, if you don't go meet Mr. Robert right now at the church this very minute, then all of your pretty words won't mean anything. You'll just be some silly female poet who wrote poems about love and life but never lived it. And she gave me a hug and we walked into the church. And that was it. That's the end of the story.
And the part that you left out, she's probably too humble to admit it, is that she put a lot on the line to make sure that this wedding happened. I mean, if they had been caught, if my grandfather had found out, Wilson would have never worked again. But that didn't stop her. It's a good thing, too, or else I wouldn't exist.
All right, everyone, if you'll gather around and indulge me for a moment, it's come to that time in the evening to play one of our favorite games.
Yes, you'll love this.
It's called Our Favorite Verse.
Oh, yes!
We haven't played it since Ba was with us, so Penn and I thought it would be fitting that we play it here tonight. The rules are simple. Try to think of your favorite lines from Ba's poems, whichever you like, and we'll each call them out, one after the other.
In what order, Robert?
In any order, that's the fun of it. And if you mess up, you lose.
Ooh, I have just the thing to start. What form is best for poems? Let me think of forms less in the external. Take the spirits as sovereign nature does to best embody the form. For otherwise we do not imprison, but rather embody.
Go, lady. Lean to the night guitar and drop a smile to the bringer, and smile as sweetly when he is far at the voice of an indoor singer.
Love's a virtue of a hero, like the snow at the top of a very high hill.
I love thee with thy voice that turns sudden faint above me. I love thee with thy blush that burns when I murmur, love me.
Love me with thy thinking soul, break it from love's sighing. Love me with thy thoughts a roll. Oh, I can't.
Thus if thou wilt love, dear, woman's love if thou wilt prove woman's love no fable, I will love thee happier as man is able.
What he said I fain would write, but if an angel spoke in thunder, should we haply say more than that it thundered?
If a cloud came down and wrapped us wholly, could we draw its shape outside?
Beloved, thou hast brought me many flowers, plucked in the garden all the summer through and winter, and it seemed as if they grew in this close room, nor missed the sun and showers. So in the like name of that love of ours, take back these thoughts, which here unfolded too, and which on warm and cold days I withdrew from my heart's ground. Indeed, those beds and bowers be overgrown with bitter weeds and rue, and wait thy weeding. Yet, here's eglantine, here's ivy. Take them, as I used to do, thy flowers, and keep them where they shall not pine. Instruct thine eyes to keep their colors true, and tell thy soul, their roots are left in mine.
How do I love thee? Let me count the ways.
I love thee to the depths and breadths and heights my soul can reach, when feeling out of sight, for the ends of being and ideal grace.
I love thee to the levels of everyday's most quiet needs by sun and candlelight.
I love thee freely as man strives to be good.
I love thee purely as they turn from praise.
I love thee with the passion put to use in my old griefs and with my childhood's faith.
I love thee with a love I seem to lose with saints' love.
I love thee with the breath,
Smiles, tears of all my life.
And if God choose, I shall but love thee better after death.